And there's a lot of males that go through the same thing. And it's twice as hard for them to talk about it because of the nature of our culture.
Yeah, like I was interviewing because they call me the veteran Oprah because sometimes
I
I'll get
love that.
talk about stuff that they're
Yeah.
planning on talking about. But my friend Paul Akins, we were talking, and the first we started going real deep, and for the first time ever he talked about how he was sexually abused by a priest from ages
Jeez.
8 to 18, and but now he's out helping others because he finally put it out there, and now he decides that I can
Yeah.
start helping others. So now with your whole story, you must be able to help a lot of different people's, like like first responders, veterans, women struggling with MST or anything like that. So there must be a lot of doors opening for you to be able to tell
There's
your story.
definitely never a lack of space to tell a story. And I really try to highlight just the leadership aspect and just being a confident, successful person. And even if you are in charge, even if you have all the degrees, your mental health can deteriorate to the point where you need help. So I really try to come at as the perspective of, and this is the only time I will actually be like, yes, I'm a West Point grad. Yes, I have a few master's degrees and stuff. However, my mental health is just as fragile as yours. Like, there's no education degree in the world that's going to make your mental health less susceptible to deterioration than anyone else in the world. So we all have to look out, and sometimes we got to look up to our supervisors and say, hey, are you doing okay? So I really try to come at it from that perspective of successful people can fall, and the people that sometimes seem like they have it all together are the ones struggling the most.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that, even like me, I help a lot of people, but sometimes even, the strongest get weak, and sometimes we need to say, hey, all right, I need some help. I need, because we can't. They say you can't
Yeah, I
pour
love
from
that
an empty
phrase.
cup. So, what are some of the things that a person could do? Because usually, if they come to you or they come to me or Ned or Tammy, they're at their lowest. Their confidence is at their lowest. What can they do to start building up their confidence
I
again?
think that's such an important thing because what depression does, it's just a loneliness and isolation, and it thrives in that darkness. And I think last year, be remiss to meet anyone that didn't even have a brush of depression, because we're told to get away from people. People are dangerous and everything. And so, different ways to combat that is just to work on our basic functions as a person. I go to therapy once a week. I think therapy is always a great option. But if you're waiting to get into therapy or whatever, you can't afford it or not, just get back to the basics of life. So make sure you eat breakfast and stop eating processed foods. Eat your fruits and vegetables. Make sure you're eating 3 times a day. Depression's going to kick your butt with your nutrition. It's going to tell you to eat the brownies, to skip a meal. It's going to shock your system to say you're not hungry or that you're overly hungry. So really keep an eye on your nutrition, and always notice about 20 minutes after a meal how you feel. And after eating a salad, sometimes you'll feel good and you'll be like, man, that really filled me up. So reiterate those. And if after eating a piece of cake you feel like crap, just remember that. And then also exercise is so important. I just got a pair of resistance band at the beginning of the pandemic, and I just do my resistance bands in the door. And sure enough, I've lost 25 pounds during the pandemic just from resistance training. And so really try to get that exercise routine, because you're getting your endorphins and you're getting your body moving. And if you need a PT to guide you through it, I needed that because I had a lot of chronic pain. And so I got a PT through the VA to help me come up with an exercise routine. And then exercise, nutrition, and the third one I always preach about is sleep. So if you Google sleep hygiene, you'll find different ways to make an atmosphere that's conducive to sleep. So blackout curtains, white noise maker, having a wind down routine. Like, how do we put a kid to bed? We get quiet at night. we tell them a story, we start to soften our voices. We have to do the same things as an adult. You have to tell your body it's time to wind down. This is our bedtime. But there's different sleep hygiene practices you always can practice. But those are the three I really tell people. If you can get your nutrition, your sleep, and your exercise on, you're probably after a few weeks going to see a little bit more energy in your day.
All right. Now, I don't want to give out everything that's in your book, but can you at least give us one story about Thor that would make somebody smile if they're really down in the
Yeah.
dumps at this moment?
So my fiance, his name is Sarah, and so I was taking her to a veteran retreat, and so we're driving to the airport, and I was a little stressed because it was the first retreat, and I didn't know about it. Like I was stressed because I love her, and I wanted her to have a positive impact from it because she was struggling, and so there was a little tension in the car, and of course Thor was in the back, and I was driving, and I guess Thor felt the change as we're driving to the airport and just talking and trying to be supportive to her, and he just comes up and licks my right ear and like gets his tongue in my ear, and like it just shocked me so much, and it just made me realize that like he noticed I was stressed, and he's like, hey, you gotta do some breathing and get back centered. And I'll tell you, of all the different grounding practices, meditation or anything, a big old lick to the ear while you're driving and stressed out about something will get you back in the moment like a champ.
I love that. Now, how can people find you? When the book is going to be
Yes.
available this
Yeah.
summer sometime. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, like I said, I'm gonna. I already talked to Annette and Cammy about you being on their show as we're doing this. So I got to multitask.
I
ADHD
take
is a
my
great
Ritalin
thing
every day. It's
sometimes,
phenomenal.
but how can somebody get in touch with you if they would love to have you and talk? Help them talk them down a little bit, or giving some insight on maybe MST that I can't give
Yeah.
them. How
So
can they get in
my
touch with
last
you?
name's a little tricky to spell. If you go to lessonsfromthor.com, that's Thor's book, and you can contact me. There's a contact form on there. I check that email regularly. Again, it's lessonsfromthor.com. And then my email is kimberly.defiori. It's DEFIORI @gmail.com. You always can find me there. Always willing to talk, hang out, chat. Um, and I'm not a medical professional, but I definitely speak from the patient perspective.
Now, I'm from an Italian family, so your last name sounds normal
Yeah.
to me. I was like,
Oh,
okay, wow,
DeFiori.
it's
I got
another
it.
Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, forget about it. But I want to thank you so much for coming on. This is going to go out in the next couple of weeks, and of course, I'm going to tag you on it. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to hang out with us, because I think a lot of times female veterans and police officers are not heard as much as they deserve to be.
Yeah, I
And I
appreciate
just
it
want
so
to say
much,
thank you.
Richard. And if anyone needs some help and they're a first responder or a loved one of a first responders, they can go to badgesunitedfoundation.org. We have all of our resources there. And for all those with first responders in their life, past, present, even if they're a former first responder, just check on them. Just let them know, hey, if you ever need to talk, I'm there for you. Because they just don't have the outlets and they need those people in their life.
All right. So, last question I'm going to ask: what is your favorite quote? When I put it on a graphic, what is your quote?
Kim's
What is
quote.
Kim's quote that you like to say a lot
Um,
that means something to you?
for our nonprofit, we always go with "In this family, we fight together," and yeah, it's just the surrounding of even if you feel alone with your mental health, there's a group around you. There's a community of support, and whether the media wants to highlight the stories or not, there's a there's love and support around. Even if you're a police officer in a very not police friendly city or anything, there's a group of support and family that will be there to fight with you.
So I'm
Okay.
going to use that
Yeah.
as your graphic. So thank you so much. I'm going
Okay.
to ask you to send that to me when we hang up. But
All right. Thanks.